Hi, hello. I'm answering questions about Detective Pikachu. I was able to play it early. Hashtag free game. Hashtag product provided by Nintendo. I think those are the disclosures I have to do. No, you don't hit that like button that early in the video. You gotta give them a question. Are Jinko jeans still around? Yes, they're very prominent in Detective Pikachu. No, that's not true. All right, whatever questions you have about Detective Pikachu, try to use like the highlighted message so I can see it because I don't have featured chat installed, unfortunately. You can say hi to YouTube as well. Does it follow the movie? Not at all. That's a good question. So I think most people have seen the movie. I don't know if I want to spoil the movie. Most people have seen it, but the first game follows the movie pretty loosely. Like they go to more places in the game. Like they go on a cruise ship in the first game. And they go to like a festival, which I guess you could maybe say like the parade at the end is kind of like the festival. They go to a lot more places in the game. I only played like maybe 25 minutes. Everything I played was like nothing to do with the movie at all. I couldn't even like make a stretch of that they were like related in any ways. How are the trees? They look good. They look really good. Does Detective Pikachu have a large time gap between the games, or is it relatively close? It does. I wish I could remember. It does tell you that it's either like a couple weeks or a couple months. It's not like very long. It's long enough where like the characters have like slightly different clothes. But it's pretty short after the first game. I think the game does tell you how long it is, but I missed that part because it was in like the little trailer I saw and it went by really fast. Relatively close together. Do the controls feel intuitive? Yeah, you can run, and Tim Goodman, he runs at a relatively decent speed. There is a part where you get to control Pikachu. I think this is the first time you get to control Pikachu, if I remember correctly. I rode a Growlithe, which I think you actually see in the trailer. Riding the Growlithe felt awesome. Do we need to actually have played the first game to understand and appreciate the new one? Okay, that's probably the most important question. I figured that was going to be asked. So you don't have to play the first game at all. You don't even have to watch the movie to understand what's happening. The game gives you like a recap at the beginning of what happened, which is pretty much like, I'm a great detective. My name is Pikachu, and I'm trying to find this kid's dad, who also happens to be the detective I worked for. And here's like a couple things that we discovered. They talk about the what was the thing in the first game? It was like chemical R or something, which was they talk about how Pokemon went berserk and they found the solution to chemical R and they solved that problem. They were like, but at the end of the day, after solving the problem, we still haven't found the dad, so that's what we're doing here. They give you like a whole like, I don't know, like 2-minute recap. Maybe it's not even 2 minutes, but they give you a whole recap, and then they just set it up as like, this is a detective game. You're gonna be solving mysteries. Good luck. So you don't need to play the first one at all. I've literally just summed up the first game for you. I played dock. I did not play handheld. That's a good question. Do they pick back up on R, which was the chemical used in the first game to enrage Pokemon? They never explained its name. Oh, yeah, sorry. I just kind of answered that. They do bring up R, but they kind of said the case was closed on that in the little like recap video. I think they're done with that. The mission I played had to do with something being stolen, and they were blaming the butler and his ducklet. And so your job as Tim and Pikachu was to prove the innocence of Ducklet and the butler. I don't remember the butler's name because you don't think, based on like your interactions before them, which I didn't play that part, like you don't think that Ducklet was the criminal there. So the mission I played was like proving Ducklet's innocence. You need to play the first one before playing the second. No, not at all. How are the graphics, especially the frames? It ran super smooth. It looked really great. It played great. It did like, it's not like an open world game, right? It's pretty, I don't want to say it's linear, but you're like in areas and you can only go so much in the areas, right? So you can like run around. There's a lot of Pokemon you can talk to. There's a lot of people to talk to. Some of that stuff is like filler text, but like even though it's filler, it's all like super charming. Are there Pokemon in the game? Yes, there's a Ducklet, there's a Growlithe. Is there any Pokemon in from Gen 9 and Detective Pikachu, if you can say? I could say, but I didn't see any. Not that I saw. But if I can tell you the Pokemon I did see if I could remember them. But yeah, not that I saw. But that wasn't like embargoed. Is there any voice acting to the Pokemon make their core growls? Okay, there is voice acting. There's actually quite a bit. Tim talks. The Pikachu talks.
All right. Let's go.
I don't remember if I heard any Pokemon talk. So it does the thing that, like, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of modern games do, where like some of it's voiced and then some of it's just like reading. Moonlight just asks, is it fully voice acted? No, it's not fully voice acted, but there is voice acting. The Pokemon make noises. Like there's a Pawniard, and he makes his like whatever slashing noise a lot, but it's not fully voice acted. It's always the butler. What's up, Leo? Sorry for adding on to my question. Were you able to tell if it's 60 or 30? My eyes are way too bad to figure that out. I would have no clue. It felt very smooth though. Like it was a regular Growlithe, not a Hisuian Growlithe. No Ryan Reynolds. It's similar to the voice they did in the first game, which I don't know. I'm sure a Wikipedia probably says what that voice was. Is it a departure from the first game? No, it's a continuation of the first game. Your job is still to find the dad. That seems to be the overarching point of the game, is to find the dad / find Detective Pikachu's partner, which is the dad. I have no clue how it's supposed to. I'm gonna assume it ends like the movie. I don't want to spoil it for, like, if you've seen the movie, you know what the ending of the movie is. So I'm assuming it's probably a very similar ending to the movie, since the first game kind of hinted at what the movie pulled the trigger on. Any regional variants? I'm trying to think of the Pokemon I've seen. I saw a Whimsicott. There was a Lickitung. There was P-Doves. There's a Growlithe. There's a Manectric I saw. Clefable. Did I say Ducklet? There's a Ducklet. Wait, what was the question about Professor? There was a question about Professor Layton. Is it like Professor Layton? I didn't play the first one. The first one was easier than Professor Layton. I would assume this is easier. It is a puzzle game, but you can't. Okay, I don't know if this is a bad thing or a good thing. You can't, like, as far as I know, you can't like fail a question. There was like a puzzle of like, where do you think the criminal is hiding? Do you think they're hiding in like the tree, the bush, or like behind this rock or something like that, right? I don't want to spoil any puzzles. And I guessed the one wrong. And then like Pikachu says something like really funny, and he's like, no, try again. And then I did another one that was wrong just to see like what would happen. And then he was like, well, the clues don't add up to be here. And then he says something funny, and then you pick the final one, which is like the answer. So it doesn't seem like you can actually like fail, but even if you press the wrong answer, you get like brand new dialogue, which is kind of cool. So it almost like, do you guys remember like Blaine's gym in Red and Blue? And you're like, if I get all the questions right, I don't have to battle anyone. But if I get all the questions right, then I miss out on that experience. So I want to get them wrong because I want to battle them. Because I want it kind of feels like that, where like, I kind of want to get it wrong because I want to see what Pikachu says. So like, there's not really a penalty for choosing it wrong, but you actually get like new dialogue for choosing it wrong. So that's kind of cool. No, it's not. It's not the Dark Souls of detective games. Were there any notable improvements from the first game, or is it pretty similar? Yeah, there was a lot. So there's no second screen. When you go to the menu, you can see like all your past cases, and you can see like people you've talked to or Pokemon you've talked to in the past, which is cool. On the D-pad, I'm looking at a Pro Controller. On the D-pad, there's a button that is like just a hint button, where if you're stuck, you just press it, and then Pikachu will just right there like give you a hint. And then there was another button that's like Pikachu like pulling on your like pants to be like, hey, I have something to tell you. So if you're just standing near something and you press that, Pikachu will have like something pretty like funny to say. It's like a really funny game. I laughed a lot. I actually laughed quite a bit only playing for like 25 minutes. So there was like a lot of I don't know who's in like charge of the dialogue or who wrote it, but like it's funny. It's like a super funny game. Not a very hard game, obviously, but I don't think that's why I don't think that's why anyone's buying it. He's not like annoying. It's just a kind of little button that like kind of like pops up in the corner. If you see it, cool. If you don't, you have to get the gym quiz wrong in BDSP so you can see the Drift Bloom. Oh yeah, that's true. So you can see all the Pokemon. Yeah. Is there a photo mode? Not that I saw, but I don't know, but I didn't see any. Is there an option to replay the cases? I don't know that either. But what's very cool about this game that the first game didn't have, or if it did have, it's not very very obvious. But this game has like side quests. The first area I played in was like this park, and there were people in the park that had their own things that they needed to be solved. So like my overall mission in the park was to prove Ducklet's innocence. But in the park, there was like a lady that was like, I'm looking for a Pokemon that has like a really big tongue. And it'd be like, oh, I saw a Lickitung like a mile away from here. I'm sure it's that. So you have to like go back, find the spoiler. She's looking for a Lickitung. But like there are people that have different, like they have their own like little quests. So I don't know how complicated they are, but I don't remember the first game having that at all. It was very stressful to play because I was trying to do the Ducklet mission, but I kept getting sidetracked with like just people. There are just people who talk and that tell you stuff. And then there's Pikachu that will like do funny things if you stand next to certain things. And then there are like people that are like, I need help. Can you help me solve this? You can go back to those people at any time. So like I was running back where I came from. I talked to the lady. She was like, I'm looking for Lickitung. And then I kept going. And then I found the Lickitung. So I talked to the Lickitung, but I never went back to the lady to like finish that mission because I ran out of time because I was distracted with other things. So that was really cool. And I was told that there was a lot of that in this game where you can get sidetracked. Are there bonuses for having saves from other Pokemon games? I don't know. I don't think so. But I want to say I asked the Nintendo rep that question, and they said they didn't know the answer to that. How long did you play? About 20 to 25 minutes. And I was mostly on the Ducklet mission. And then when I was on the Growlithe, which is part of the Ducklet mission, Growlithe was able to... No, I wish it was an hour. No, it was about 25 minutes. Growlithe had like a sniffing thing that he could do. So you were looking for a Pokemon's scent, and you would like when you would sniff, the like scent would appear on the map, so you could follow it to where the Pokemon was hiding. No, they did not tell me total playtime. I'm not sure. The first game is pretty long though. The 3DS game is relatively long. Well, how long to beat says the first game was 12 hours. And then if you want to do the side quests, that added an hour and a half. So that's pretty long. I'm assuming Pikachu rides Growlithe, not Tim. Yeah. No, the voice acting was good. I thought the voice acting was really, really good. Like it's not like Oscar-winning voice acting, but it's good for. It's very good. I can confirm.
Sorry, but could you sit down for a sec?
If you're sitting down, you might stand up. If you're standing up, you might need a place to sit down. I can confirm, though I didn't see him, that Cramorant is in the game because he's Ducklet's friend, and part of the mission was to like circle back to Cramorant to get his side of the story. But that was well past. I didn't get to that part of the game. So if you want to know if the game is worth it, Cramorant is in the game. Oh, what if Cramorant is the criminal? I don't know, because they did frame the butler. Oh, I never met the Cramorant. The Cramorant was past the Ducklet story. I got to the point where I found Ducklet because Ducklet was hiding. A criminal, and they were roommates. Yeah. So the game it's $50. It's not 60. Comes out October 6th, according to Nintendo's website. It works in tabletop handheld mode. I play it on a Pro controller. It is single player. There's no multiplayer to it. Music was okay. It didn't like really stand out to me, but I was also playing in like a weird space. Is there anything that surprised you? I think the biggest surprise is it didn't feel like a 3DS game, which is what I expected. Maybe my expectations were really low. I just kind of expected that this was like a ported 3DS game that got like lost to time, but it did feel like like it looked really good, played good. The thing that stood out to me was like just the dialogue. It was genuinely a funny game. I mean, it was funny to me. Do you recommend someone play the first one? No. Like, can you even find the first one? The 3D, the eShop is down, and no one sells 3DS games besides like used stores. I would just say like wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks and just pick this up if you're like on the. I don't think you need to play the first one. Did it feel like a Switch game or more of a mobile game? That's a good question. It did actually feel like a Switch game. It did not feel like an iPhone game or like an iPad game ported over with a controller. It did feel like an actual Switch game. No, this game comes out on I think October 6th or 7th. Yeah, it's like a month away. Are you gonna stream it? Yeah, I will probably stream it. Although I think the weird thing about streaming these games is like kind of once you know the puzzle, like you can't like unlearn, like you know the answer, right? I don't think there's it doesn't seem like there's multiple ways to solve things, right? This isn't Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom where you like build like 3 different cars and. But yeah, I'll probably stream it. I probably won't stream it on launch. That way other people can play it. You know, they're not spoiled when they're watching my playthrough. The first one wasn't very replayable. I could be wrong on that. I don't think when you beat the first one there's like a new game plus or anything. You kind of know exactly what's happening. I have no clue if this game has anything after you roll credits. Like I said, only played like 25 minutes, but the first one wasn't very replayable. The first one was like what, like $40? That's how much 3DS games were. I thought it was 100% worth it. Do you expect the puzzles to get harder? I believe I was very early on the game, so yeah. Although I remember in the 3DS version there was only like 2 puzzles that really stood out. I think the puzzles would be hard for you guys because you guys are really bad at reading. If you don't read very well, then yes, all the puzzles end up being a lot harder because you got to pay attention. You got to read. I'm out. I gotta read in this game. But I think like going back to the first one, I think the appeal of the first one was not that it was like a very difficult puzzle game. I would still consider it a puzzle game, but it was a relatively easy game. Like I said, there's not really like a fail state to the game. I think the charm and why somebody would pick this up is just because they want to be immersed in the Pokemon world. And they want to see like Pokemon interact with each other. And most of the interactions are pretty like charming or pretty funny. So if you just want that, I think that's why you would purchase this game. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's a good recap. I'm excited for it. I am more excited after playing it than I was per the trailer. Again, I had pretty low expectations. Mostly because it's been so long since the first one. But after playing it, it felt like there was like a lot of love put into this game. And it didn't feel like go to point A from point A to point B. All right, you solved it. Okay, here's the next area. Go from point A to point B. Which is kind of like the first game was. I mean, give or take. But yeah, it felt like they put a lot of stuff into it. Yeah, kind of like Pokemon Snap 2. Yeah, I had very low expectations for that game, but that game kind of blew me away too. Who developed the game? It's made by Creatures, the people who make the TCG. I was traveling. The areas are a lot smaller, so I only traveled between a park and there was like a mansion off the park, and that seemed to be like, I don't know if there was another part of the area, but it was pretty fast to run through everything. Yeah, I think it's pretty cute and charming. So, all right. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll switch over to Mr. Scarlet and Violet.